you can't just raise prices.
Yeah.
And it's really easy. Like, it's one thing to raise prices in a recession when you're zagging while everyone else is zigging. Right now, everybody's raising prices. So if you're just raising prices, you're probably not doing enough.
This is the Wealthy Contractor Podcast, brought to you by G4 Marketing. Interviews with today's top home improvement entrepreneurs about marketing, sales, money, mindset, and lifestyle. Now, here's your host, Brian Koskiniemi.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Wealthy Contractor Podcast. This is Brian Koskiniemi with G4 Marketing Group. And today I have with me Kirk. Oh, God, Kirk, you're going to kill me. Koskiniemi. No.
Kirk Koskiniemi. Yes, close enough.
No, as a Koskiniemi, that should be easy for me.
Koskiniemi. Not too bad.
So welcome. Kirk owns a company called IBEX Roofing. He is up in the Northwest, the great Northwest. And he's back again. You can check him out. This time I have a number. He was last on episode 123. And today I thought it would be interesting. So Kirk is in our highest level mastermind group here at the Wealthy Contractor. And on one of our recent mastermind calls, he had a very cool discovery as he was comparing this year's results to last year's results. And I thought that that would make for a very interesting conversation. Kirk, before we jump into that, give everybody just like the quick 1 minute on IBEX Roof and and also the Happy Gutters.
Okay, so the 1 minute IBEX Roof is a residential roofing replacement contractor. Has a sister company, Happy Gutters, which does the same thing with gutters. Serve the Portland market predominantly, and a little bit basically with an hour of the Portland market. Roughly, it's about between the two is $6, $7, $8 million company, depending on how the year shakes out. We're at about 6.5 last year between the two. Been in business 7 years, I think. And that's about it.
Cool. All right. So you were looking at some information comparing this year to last year. Can you set that up? What were you looking at?
Okay, so basically, I was looking at our numbers and Q1, so January through March of 22 this year. And I guess to set up, we're having we're having our best year ever. Last year was a good year, but not as good as I wanted due to inflation on materials. We have corrected for that this year because we've had a lot of inflation. We've adjusted our pricing model and we've caught up to it. So I was looking at Q1 22 numbers, and the profitability is good. And so I started to dig a little deeper. Profitability is as good as it's ever been. I started to dig a little deep into some of the other stuff, and I found some into the numbers, and I found some things that I thought would be useful to share with other people, I guess.
Great.
Do you want me just to dive right into them?
Yeah, let's dive into it. And the reason I'm asking him to do this is I think that it's really interesting what he discovered. And I would imagine that he's not the only one that is experiencing this. And it's something for you to also look for in your business. I'm talking to you, the listener. So go ahead. What were some of the things that you found out?
Okay, the main idea to summarize it up is, I'll try to keep this as lively as possible and not too dry, but the main idea is sales are slightly up, but activity is significantly down. So, and kind of my hypothesis on this is that inflation, especially in the construction materials, inflation and rising prices is hiding other things, is hiding inefficiencies. And I feel personally, I can't say it's the same for everyone, but I feel like my company is riding the wave of high pricing and has the threat of going into an unsustainable model. For example, our total sales, our net income's doubled, which is great, and I love that. But for Q1, but I don't want it to. I'd rather have something that's sustainable than something that's really good right now. So, for example,
You're
our net
talking,
income's,
and sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off, but just to be
go
clear,
for it.
net income, net bottom line income is what you're talking about right now.
Yes.
Yes.
Q1 of 2021 was when the inflation really started.
Yeah.
Our net income straight up suffered. I think we might have had 5% or something in Q1. Okay. Now for Q1 of 2022, the net income is just beautiful. It's everything I'd ever want. Okay. And if I look at the sales for 21 versus 22, our sales are up. Our sales are up about 5% roughly. Our total income's up about 5%, which is great. But the problem is our number of re-roof jobs is down 42%. So we're selling 40% less jobs at a much higher price.
Yeah.
Which is great as long as it's sustainable. Our appointments are down 12% per week. Our dollar of sales is up 5%. Our average roof price is up 63%. So some of this is
Wow.
price correction. Some of this is price correction where we missed it, and then some of it is, we're in this inflation frenzy market, so it's easy to raise your pricing because everything's going up. Okay, which we've done the correct thing by taking advantage of that. However, if I break it down, our marketing cost per re-roof appointment is up 135%. So our marketing cost per appointment is up 135%. Our marketing cost per roof sold is up 250%, 257%, but 2.5 times for every roof that we're selling. Our marketing cost is up 2.5 times. And so then our non-marketing overhead per roof is up 86%. So if I back out marketing and I look at the overhead, so we got less roofs. The numbers are great. The bottom line is great, but we got less roofs being done. Keep in mind, this is a month ago. So at that point, we had more people doing less roofs. And we've started making changes to correct this stuff, but this is the stuff I'm seeing. And I guess the message is, times are good. Just because the numbers are good, you got to keep peeling the onion. Because I feel like this is our best year ever, but I'm finding more inefficiencies than ever. And in my opinion,
go ahead. In your opinion,
there's no better time to correct now when you have the breathing room than when you're on the other side of when you're losing money.
Yeah. So what I think is really important about this, and why I asked Kirk to come on, is one, I just want to point out, look at how he knows his numbers. And we talk about this here all the time. Numbers. You got to know this is a numbers-driven business. You got to understand the economics of your business. You've got to have KPIs in place. You've got to understand what your lead costs are, what your demo cost is, what your per roof or per window sold. You got to know these costs. You got to know your overhead, everything. You got to know all of these things. And so what's fascinating about this is a lot of people are in the same boat. Hey, we're making money. We're up over last year. But how many people are digging in to see, okay, is this for lack of a better word, is this just a big bubble? that is, it's growing now and it's good, but is this thing going to pop? And then is it going to pop on me? Am I going to get, priced out of the market? What are the threats that are possible? And so when you understand this stuff, you can look at it and say, okay, well, what are the things that I need to do to make sure I have a healthy business on the other side? And Kirk is one of the best I've seen at this. And when it comes to, operating his company, he knows all the nuance, all the little ins and outs. So you've made some of these discoveries. What are some of the things that you're doing about it?
So we've replaced, since making this discovery, we've replaced 2 of the office people. We got 2 new people doing the job that 2 other people were doing, except for they're doing more with that job. We have our marketing. We're obviously looking very hard at the marketing. We're not reducing our marketing spend at all, because I think this is a year where the marketing, you're gonna have to spend in marketing. I think the abundance of leads will go away.
I agree.
But the biggest thing we're doing is we're basically breaking everything out. We're having a 2-hour, hour and a half finance meeting every week. We're coming up with new metrics, like a new one is overhead per roof sold or per roof installed. So because back in the day, so here's the other thing is I got this kickback from some of the people here that, hey, our overhead is still 24% or whatever it is. We're still good. Our overhead's still 24%. It's just like last year. But we need new metrics because the numbers are changing so quick, and with inflation and everything else. The old metrics of 24%, that worked for the last 5 years, don't work anymore. So we have to come up with new metrics like, our overhead per roof. What is it per roof? So, because just because the roof costs more doesn't mean it should take more people to make it go through the system, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And 2, if this inflation continues, what'll happen is the overhead wages and everything will have to follow. And so the overhead will quickly follow if we don't get that right sized. So, we've replaced 2 we because we said, that we're resistant to some of the changes. So obviously we had to replace them. And we honestly did a spending freeze for office supplies, all that kind of stuff. Kind of just that's one thing I do if it's too high but no one really knows where to cut it, say, okay, let's cut everything and let's go from there. If no one has an answer, the old saying, I heard this maybe at Accelerator somewhere, but someone said, if we have the data, let's go with the data. If we don't have the data, let's go with my gut. So some of the stuff we're just having to go with my gut, and then if I'm wrong, we'll figure it out. So you can always add costs back. You can always call someone up and say, hey, I shouldn't have fired you. Will you come back? So I don't know. Sometimes you roll the dice, I guess.
I wish that is advice that I had heard 20 years ago, because we didn't stop and look at, I would look at a number on our P&L, like just when you said office supplies, every month I would look at this number and I would say, what the hell are they spending all of this money on? And I wouldn't say, okay, stop spending. Stop spending until we figure it out. I just let them keep doing it. You know what I found? After when the business scaled back and I sold it and I ended up with all the stuff, I had cabinets filled with office supplies, like all this crap. I had so many highlighter pens that, it's a dumb thing, but $1,000 a month, or what, 2,000, whatever it was a month in and month out, year in and year out, that it starts to add up. And that's just one silly line item, right?
So when we put one person in charge of like the Amazon account and said everybody has to ask Alyssa. And if actually, I don't know if you can see me, but I got a new office. I'm using this stool. I had to ask Alyssa this morning, like, can I please have an office chair? And she says, I suppose, so.
Yeah. So you got an $8 office chair.
Yeah, I got a better one coming, but for now I just got a stool until
Yeah.
this approves it, so it cuts both ways. So, but yeah, it's that's the main thing we're doing is we're we're not doing anything crazy. It's just I honestly don't know where our overhead needs to be, but I know it needs to be back where it was as a cost of basically our overhead used to be, I don't have it in front of me, but say our overhead, I'm guessing, is $3,000 per roof sold.
Yeah.
It needs to be somewhat back in line with that, adjusted for 10% annual inflation or something. I don't know. So
Yeah.
Let's pause here for a quick break. In today's world, getting a 5-star review on Google from every single one of your customers is critical. This is something that G4 Marketing Group helps hundreds of home improvement and home services companies with every day. So we put together a free 5-star customer experience checklist to help you ensure every one of your customers are getting an experience that will turn them into raving fans. You can get your copy of the customer experience checklist today. Just go to g4marketing.com/CEX. The checklist will walk you through 30 points in your customer journey that you can improve today. That way, you'll be able to turn today's customers into tomorrow's leads, sales, and profits. Just go to g4marketing.com/CEX. That's GFOUR marketing.com/CEX to get your copy of the checklist today. Then, when you're ready to automate your relationship marketing so that your customers grow your business for you, just give G4 Marketing a call at 305-856-8788, and we'll give you a free demo to show you how your future business profits are hiding in today's customers. Now let's get back to the episode.
So as we look at this, and I think that I think this is something that everybody needs to really dig into and look into. What do you mentioned hypothesis before. What is kind of your gut, your hypothesis about what's going on?
with the overall market or with IBEX
Well,
Roof?
in what you discovered in your business.
I think that honestly, just times have been good. And I know, and I don't want to give any advice against yours, but your advice has always been to raise prices. And 90% of the time, that is the correct thing because most contractors are too cheap. I honestly feel like with our company, we've got away with raising prices a little bit too much. And it's hidden a lot of other stuff, which is fine. But you can't just raise prices.
Yeah.
And it's really easy. Like, it's one thing to raise prices in a recession when you're zagging while everyone else is zigging. Right now, everybody's raising prices. So if you're just raising prices, you're probably not doing enough.
Yeah,
is what I would say.
Well, and the ironic thing is, up until a year and a half ago, it was very, very sound advice. A year and a half ago, it started to become like, if you didn't do it, you were forced to do it. Even if you wouldn't do it before, you were forced to do it. And over the last year, you've been forced to do it multiple times. So it's an interesting thing. I've never seen this in my 25 years in home improvement. I've never seen anything like this, where inflation was just so out of control that everybody is forced to raise price. I just went to flipping Chipotle and got a bowl. It was $15 or $14, something like that.
Yeah. I just ate at Five Guys and it was $18.
Yeah.
For burger, fries, drink.
Yeah. It's everything has gone up. Everybody's raising prices. And but you got to know what you're doing. You got to know, okay, here's what it's costing me. You got to know my labor, my material. I got to get my gross margin. Then from that, I got to understand what is my marketing cost, what's my selling, and what's my overhead. So, and then that's, after all of that, is what's going to leave me my profit. And if you're not making money right now, you never will.
You're done.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're done. Yep.
Right? If you can't make money in this environment, you never will. But it's also, it's weird times, because is this the new normal? Or is you said the price of a roof is up 63%, right?
Yes, and part of that is because I would say our price was too low at the beginning of last year.
Yeah.
We had a backlog in price increases monthly, and we were behind our backlog, so we had to really take some price jumps.
Yeah.
I mean, just period, because that was, in the old days, you wanted to get a couple month backlog on roofing, and then you're set. And you do those, you do that work at all the prices remain stable, and it's security. Whereas it turned into a liability, beginning of last year, end of the year prior, and then I forgot what you asked me.
Me too. We were
Oh,
just
well.
talking about, we were talking about the average cost of a roof to the consumer is up.
Yes, went up. Yep.
That's significant.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's a $10,000, what was a $10,000 roof a year and a half ago, it's now a $16,000 roof.
Yep. It was $11,000 roof a year and a half ago, is $18,000 now.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. Now, now the question is that the new normal? Is that how it's going to be now for the next 2 or 3 years? We don't know.
No, we don't. And I think it's, my personal thought is that we need to make basically, so if you wanted to make 20% before this, and you probably need to make 30% now, because and this is me just guessing, I don't know any more than the next guy, but I would say if you're not making money now, a year from now, you're at negative 10%, you're out of business. If you're making 20% now, every year from now, you're going to be at 10%, and then trying to get your margin up. That's just my personal thought.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the other interesting thing that you said is, and you noticed, is your marketing cost. So you said, what was it, 257%?
Yes, 257%.
Yeah.
So
it's significant.
2021, sorry, we were 60% repeat and referral.
Yeah.
And we had lots of work, and it didn't make sense to spend money on marketing. And now we're trying some things, and that's it, because we're trying things, we're spending money. We don't have, it's not formulaic yet for us, so we're having to play with some money and test some things. Which, again, much rather be doing it now when you have some margin to play with than once things hit the fan.
Well, and it's very, very smart, because when things do start to slow down, the mistake that people make is they stop marketing, whether it's because we're too busy, or because we don't have money, or for whatever reason. And if you aren't marketing today, you're potentially in trouble a year from now when things do start to contract a little bit. I was talking with Scott at CCN last week. We were at an event together, and we were talking about the subject. In fact, I'm going to have him on an episode soon, because we had a little bit of a scary conversation, just because of some of the things he's seeing out there through Certified Contractors Network, and of course some of the things that I'm seeing through my clients. He was saying one of the biggest mistakes that people make when things start to slow down is they stop spending on marketing and they stop spending on training, which is two areas that you do not want to cut, right? And so being ready, having the budget today, so it's very smart that you were relying on repeat and referral last year. You did some marketing, you had marketing out there, but now you're becoming more of a marketer. You're not relying on anything. You're not taking anything for granted. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's kind of what I see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have to. I mean, we're down. Our number of jobs sold is down 40%. I mean,
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Right. Yeah.
And
Now, on the one hand, there is a beauty in doing less and making more. But again, the question is, how sustainable is it?
exactly, yeah. And if that's the way it is forever, then I'll gladly
Right.
say I'm wrong and then just quit coming to work. But
Yeah,
just in case, I'm going to make sure that that the ship's tight. So
absolutely. Yeah. No, it would actually be great if this was the new normal and we could make more on less. Great, especially in roofing with all the.
and I've talked to other guys locally that have seen the same thing, and they say, hey, what's the big deal? This is great. Some of my competitors, and I'm like, well, it is great as long as it, keeps going like this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and the whole thing here, again, to the listener, is these are things to just think about. And Kirk loses nothing, but gains everything by doing the things that he's doing now, by not taking things for granted, by saying, this could go on forever, but let me make sure the ship is tight so that if things do change, and we know they will, but let's just say if they change, I'm going to be prepared. I'm not going to be the one that goes negative 10%. I'm the one that's going to be still making money.
And just as a disclaimer, I'm the guy that bought his first house when he was 19 in 2007, when the market could never go down. And I was also working in construction then. So I was 20 years old watching people buy houses for half of what I paid for my house, and all this, watching everybody take advantage of the market and the situation. And I was just sitting there watching it. So I don't know. I may be that. And then the opposite happened. So now I question stuff. Yeah.
Kirk, I'm sorry, man. I lost you there for a minute. You were just
gotcha.
about to say, you were saying about the house, and then you were saying, and I completely didn't get it.
Can I just start over?
Just at the part where people were buying houses for half of what you paid, and then you were going to make a point.
Oh, gotcha. People were buying houses. I sat there after the recession happened, watched people buy houses for half of what I paid.
Yeah.
And all these old wise people had told me that the price would never go down. So now I question stuff if things go too good.
Yeah. Well,
So.
And that's good. I think it's good. Well, Kirk, thank you. I appreciate it. I know you're going to do a little presentation for the mastermind group on the discoveries and the numbers, and we'll dig into them a little bit more in mastermind. But I wanted to have you on here just to make people aware. This is about awareness. These are just things for you to think about. We want you to be successful. If you're listening to this podcast, we want you to succeed. We want you to, get past all of this, whatever this is, and then whatever the next thing is. So the healthier your foundation is, the better you'll weather any storm that comes along, and the greater opportunity you'll have to take advantage of current market conditions. And so that's what I hope that we're doing a little bit of here. So Kirk, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Yep. And to everyone listening, until next time, this is Brian Koskiniemi with G4 Marketing Group, and this is the Wealthy Contractor Podcast.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Wealthy Contractor Podcast. Let me ask you, did it help you look at your business in a different way? Did it spark an idea or ideas that you hadn't thought of before? Do you have a list of action items that you can take and implement into your business or your life today? I really hope so. If it did, I'd like to ask you a favor. Would you leave a 5-star review of the podcast? By doing so, you'll help other contractors find the podcast more easily so that we can help them achieve more success, wealth, and freedom. And before you go, make sure you subscribe to the Wealthy Contractor podcast so you get access to the latest episodes as soon as they're available. We're always striving to provide you with great content, so you don't want to miss what's coming up. In fact, if you haven't already, make sure you go to thewealthycontractor.com and get your free copy of my latest book, The 7 Secrets to Becoming a Wealthy Contractor. Just pay shipping and handling, and I'll take care of the cost of the book. And finally, a big thanks to G4 Marketing for sponsoring the Wealthy Contractor podcast. For over 12 years now, G4 Marketing has been the secret back office relationship marketing team for hundreds of home improvement and home service businesses just like yours. You get the customer, and our proven system turns that customer into 5-star reviews and profitable repeat and referral business. If your home improvement or home services company completes at least 10 jobs per month, they have a solution that will work for you. To find out more, sign up for your free, no obligation, 10-minute discovery call at www.g4marketing.com/strategy. That's GFOUR marketing.com/strategy. Set your discovery call up today, and they'll help you set your business up for long-term profits and success. So until next time, this is Brian Kaskadalsian.